welcome back to the Content View. I know it's been weeks, but I kind of wanted to just leave out where you could just reel in of this whole new kind of rebrand that I did because I wasted all my money. I might as well get my money's worth. But today I'm here with Vixeverhart, if I'm saying that correctly, right?
It's Vixeverhart.
Vixa?
Vixeverhart.
Oh, Vix.
V-I-N.
Holy shit, my bad. No, because that's my bad. Let's start off this interview with who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Vixeverhart, or I just go by Vix, and I'm a digital artist slash content creator. I mainly focus on character design, concept art, and illustration, and I'm also a story writer and create my own characters and write my own stories. And with these characters, I also post TikToks and Reels and a bunch of illustrations of them as well, and basically the basics of what I do.
So let's go into what got you into creating art and creating these characters.
Yeah, so I think it started back in middle school when I first got into art. My brother introduced me to digital art, and the first thing I started drawing was My Little Pony. Yes, I was one of those kids in middle school, but I drew My Little Pony a lot, and that's when I started creating like characters, and they were like really cringy and honestly kind of bad. So, but then I discovered anime, which is another thing that my brother introduced me to, and I really loved the style of anime. So I first created fan art, just like fan art of anime. But then online, I saw people making their own like OCs in the anime universes, and so I moved on to doing that. But then gradually, like just exploring the internet, I saw people just making like their own original like characters, mix and such. And I just got to the point like I've been creating characters and doing digital art, and I was like, I want to do that. So I started. I think I wrote my first comic back in like sometime between middle and high school, and I wrote it from beginning to end, but never like actually made it into a comic. So I'm not gonna say it was really bad. Like looking back on it, it was actually really bad and cliche, and I had drawn out the characters, and honestly my art style was not as good as it was now. So I'm kind of like glad on one hand I'm glad I didn't go through with it because it would have just been so cringy, but like on the other hand I'm glad that I did that in the first place because I did learn a lot from it. And then it was around high school I started taking it a bit more seriously and like starting like a YouTube channel. I started a YouTube channel first, which honestly didn't take off like very much, so I moved to TikTok and Instagram, mainly TikTok. And at first, Everhart was like, well, so I was gonna write a story. I wrote a story called Everharts, which we can talk about in a bit. And it was about my persona originally, but gradually I started to create like more original characters for that project, and like the story and these characters just motivated me so much. So that's really what kicked off like my content creation, and I saw a lot of people like taking interest in my characters, and that really pushed me to continue doing this as well. So kind of how I got to this point.
Is there like a way you can explain your art style to people that have not seen your art and that I'm now showing on the screen?
I guess the best I can explain it is anime slash pop, sort of. Like, my art style used to be like complicated with the shading, but now like it's like it is a lot more like simplified in terms of shading, and has like definitely taken on more of like a pop style while still retaining that sort of anime person look.
Were there shows that like kind of inspired your character or what? in your words, OC?
Well, I think the first inspiration I ever got was actually from another content creator. So I'm sure a lot of people know who she is. I was really inspired by Aphmau and her characters and story writing. And like I know it was Minecraft and they were just cues, but like so many people were making like fan art of these characters and like she wrote them so well and it was just such a cool thing to see and it really like inspired me to do the same thing.
So, like, your inspiration for your character is the it's Aphmau, right? I'm saying that correctly. I'm not fucking up a name.
Yeah, kind of like
Now,
we both happen to just really like purple, so
I mean,
quite
purple's a
similar.
good color. I mean, shit, in my profile that I'm using right now, the eye is purple. Me personally, I feel like most colors that just like blue, like the light blue, like neon green, purple, pink, even like red, like fits well with like either black, white. It's just a color that really matches with any others, really smooth.
Yeah, you have great taste.
I don't know, maybe that's just me. Like other people, and this is not a diss. Most people like that I've met, their favorite color is yellow, and that surprised the shit out of me because I've never heard anyone saying their favorite color is yellow. But what can you tell us about your OC?
Okay, so my main OC is Vix, and her story, let me just say, it's a really confusing thing for me to explain. So basically, for my main project, my OC, not my persona, my OC, Vix, was originally going to be my persona, but her project gradually became something I could see as its own separate thing, and I no longer really saw her as my persona. But like, I still wanted to keep the name Vix, and I still wanted her to keep the name Vix. So this is just something I have to explain to people. And so afterwards, I just changed my persona design to in a way that I related to a bit more, or I could just see as just me. So the Vix, my OC, basically what her story is she travels to another world called Evermore, where she basically fights monsters who are trying to break a barrier to Earth and come and attack Earth. And she teams up with some characters from this world as well to take down the evil that's trying to get to Earth and take control of everything. And that's really the basics I can give for her story because
Without spoiling it.
without spoiling it, yeah.
So you have worked on projects, but before we go on to that, what was difficulties writing these projects? Like, what were the struggles that came with it?
I guess, well, the character design just like was the part that I really enjoyed because, like, oh my gosh, I just made these characters and they're real, they're right there in front of me. But it was really the writing aspect that I struggled with because, like I talked about before, my first webcomic in middle school, like honestly, like the characters design-wise weren't too bad, but the story was just so like cliche and also like just cringy and just also felt a bit sped up. And like I guess the real struggle was just the writing part because like art's something I'm passionate about. It's the writing part that I really need to get a grip of. But like as I've grown and like written stories off to the side, I've learned a lot, and like from reading other stories I've learned like how to make it feel basically like more casual or like make it flow better. So I think after like all that time from my first story in middle school, I feel like I've learned a lot more. Like writing is still a struggle, but I feel like I'm much more confident in my writing skills to pursue this project that I'm working on.
This is just coming from experience. I'm not gonna say anything, but when it came to English class, for me, I always struggled with writing. So I can understand the perspective because that's not everyone's strong suit. Especially like in your case, you have everything ready. You have the character designs, you have them fully drawn out. You already know what you want to do. It's just every time you try to write something, it's like it's either sped up, cliche, or it's not that interesting in your eyes. And that's not what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So now comes the interesting part. What can you tell us about the projects you are working on?
Okay, so let me try to break it up as best I can. So I have pretty much three main projects. Two of them are a lot smaller than the first one, but the first one is going to take a lot longer. So the first one, I briefly mentioned it before, but it's a project of mine called Everhart, which I basically explained with my main OC Vix. So that's basically my main series, but it's currently like story-wise not out right now, and it probably won't be for a while because, like I said, that story is gonna take a lot of writing and is like has a lot more plot points and just conflict and everything like that to get right. So it's gonna take a pretty long time for me to actually like be done with the writing aspect of it. So, but I'd say that's my main project right now. My two other minor projects. The first one to talk about is Lucent, which so basically after separating my persona from my OC, I wanted to give her some lore as well. So basically my persona's lore is that she's a mob boss of a fantasy crime organization called Lucent. And currently out on Webtoon right now, I have a webcomic called Lucent, which is basically like a slice of lifestyle of my persona and her employees working for this organization of crime. And the reason I released this before Everheart was because, like I said, this is a slice of life comic, so there's nothing really too serious, or there's not as much writing that needs to be put into this as before. But I mean, there's a bit of lore, certain characters in this comic that's going to be touched on here and there, but for the most part, it's just a casual, like everyday life for these characters. And then the third project, which is relatively new, called Things That Tie Us Together. So I'm actually currently working on the trailer for that, but basically it's about normal life, just normal life, no like on Earth, no magical aspect to it except for one part. I don't know if you've heard of this, the myth about the red string that connects you to your soulmates. So basically, this is another slice of life, but slight drama about these characters and them waiting for their red string to appear while still living their everyday lives. But this is probably the most like realistic, like real life story that I have, and like really casual. So like I said before, I am working on the trailer, but the format that's gonna be for this series, I was thinking of as a YouTube episodic, like an original YouTube episodic series. So basically like an animatic series, basically, because, well, like I said, Everheart is gonna take a while, and honestly, I don't know how I want to release Everheart. Like, I don't know if I want to make it like an animation, an animatic, webcomic. So these two other series that I'm doing in like completely different formats are basically like a way for me to experiment and figure out how I want to get like my biggest projects made. So yeah, that's basically how my projects are going.
No, because I can understand that. It's because like you don't want to just fully dive into like something you don't really know what to do, especially if the huge thing, which is Everheart, is like the most passionate thing you're wanting to release.
Right. Not saying I'm not passionate about the other two. Like,
no, it's just they're really like stepping stones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are there any key moments that you have working on any of these projects that you would want to share with anyone?
I guess key moments working on these projects was honestly the attention that I got. Like, I just suddenly like started getting followers one day from like just this stupid short goofy animatic I made for TikTok and Instagram Reels. And then I started introducing my characters gradually in like really like lore related videos with like dramatic music. And I think that's really what like got people hooked, because people were like commenting like, wow, your characters are really like, oh, I want to know more about them. Like, oh, Everheart sounds really cool. I can't wait for it to come out. Like, I think seeing those comments is really like what pushed me like now, because obviously like back in middle school, I didn't have this following. So I feel like maybe if I did, maybe it would have pushed me more to like work on that one story. But I'm glad that I am working on stories that I'm really passionate about now, and I really appreciate like all the support from others, because that really does genuinely motivate me.
At least you can now say like you're doing what you love to do, which, you know, most people don't really get that chance. How do you like deal with any negativity that can come your way?
Yeah, so I've gotten my fair share of those. I've gotten my fair share in the comments and DMs of people just basically saying stupid short things like, oh, that sucks, or oh, this character looks dumb, or oh, I don't really like your art style. And if I'm being honest, at the start, that did kind of throw me off it because I was getting all these nice comments, and then there were just people who were being mean for no reason, or just saying these things in like the comments. Just, and honestly, at the start it did bother me, but like after a while, like I was just like, why are you commenting then if you don't care? Like why are you bothering? Like why are you bothering with doing that if like you don't like any of my things? Like, okay, then just don't follow me and block my account if you want to.
Look,
So,
deep down, they truly liked it. You never know.
yeah, exactly. But basically, like at the start, it bothered me, but now it's just kind of funny seeing those comments now. Like, okay, is this the part where I'm supposed to care?
I mean, that just comes with the internet, man. And this is what most people sometimes forget. And I always try to keep this with me. It's like when you put something out there, you can't expect all like fucking sunshines and rainbows. Like, you really just kind of have to look at it as at some point, someone will hate what you're doing, but don't let that stop you. Just kind of let it guide you to the right place. Use it to your advantage.
Exactly. That exactly, right.
So I know we went on of like what inspired you, but were there any like people that inspired you to continue this art?
I guess it was so I joined a community sometime in high school for this content creator. I'm not gonna say her name because she changed her username and is not really that active anymore. But basically, like, I joined this community on this app called Amino, which I don't really use a whole lot anymore, but it was a really fun time, honestly, just to like create art. It was like a social media, basically. It's still around, but it was just so cool to like have these people in this one small community like bond over like someone else's original characters, and then these other people like made their own original characters, and so did I, and we'd share them with each other, and we'd just be like so supportive and just show each other just so much like love for our creativity. So I just remember like that point in my life was just so nice, and just really like helped push me a bit more to move on to my own things, like not just for this content creator that I created characters of from her original projects, but it really pushed me to start my own original projects. And I hope that one day like I can help bring people together like that.
I mean, that's mostly most people's goal. It's like to just build a community and just kind of just bounce ideas off, because as much as we can do it ourselves, it takes more motivation hearing it from other people supporting your work to get that extra motivation to continue what you want to do.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And especially if you're all in the same community liking what one person is doing, it's like that's your motivation, because everyone around you is like, let's do it, because they all have the same mindset. Where can people find you to go look at more of your art and more of your projects?
Yeah, so my main ones I'd say are Instagram and TikTok at Vixeverhart official, and I started YouTube last year a bit more because obviously I'm going to be in my projects there potentially, and also Vixeverhart official. And in my Instagram and TikTok, I do have a card, so if you go to either one of those, you can find my card. And I did recently start a Patreon, so if anyone wants to support me a bit more or gain early access to my characters, some behind the scenes of my projects, or get exclusive access to voting of certain pieces I'm gonna start doing monthly, then you can find me there at Patreon. And pretty much all I have, and those are pretty much my main platforms.
And for our final question here today, what advice would you give to anyone that's watching that wants to do what they want to do?
Genuinely, I say this, like, practice really does make perfect. And also, like, if you think about posting something, like, just do it. Like, really, like, genuinely just do it. Like, I have another Instagram account where I posted my work a lot back then of my old art, which honestly I didn't think it's as good as now. But honestly, like practicing and seeing like what I could improve on in these posts just genuinely like really did help me. So overall, like want to get into like digital art, like just do it. Like just start, like pick up a pencil and just go at it. And then if you don't like what you make first, then that is totally okay, because if you keep working, then you are going to get to where you want to be. Like 100%. Like I'm still not even 100% where I want to be, but I feel as like very like passionate that I'm going in the right direction. Like just because I've been drawing and practicing like over and over again, even though I may not like the results all the time, I learned something from it. So at the end of the day, like do it, just go for it.
And to just add on to that, like no one's perfect. Like no one's gonna get it off the first try. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
and that probably like would have got me into art, because I dabble here and there. Am I a fucking artist? Hell no. I can barely draw a fucking stick man. But you know, like if fuck it, I might actually start, like actually put in time and figure out how to even draw something as close as, like, let's say a Pokemon character.
Oh my gosh, Pokemon! I used to draw that so much. Sorry, I just got so excited.
No, you're fine. I would love to be able to draw just a single Pokemon character. But thank you everyone, and thank you for hopping on the show. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for inviting me. This is the first time I've ever been invited to something like this, so thank you so much for this opportunity.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised you didn't just read it as this is just another spam email. That's what most people do, so it's like, eh.
No, honestly, I won't lie to you. I was a bit skeptical, and if you hadn't sent that link to like the other videos, I probably would have just trashed the email, because I have gotten spams from like certain art websites I used to be on, so I honestly was a bit skeptical, but because of the
It's
playlist,
fine. Nah, I understand. My writing style can be a bit off, but I didn't want to like be too me, but I also didn't want to be too professional. So I just tried to like meet in the middle. But all her links will be in the description, and if you want to go check out more, I would suggest just go checking out her Instagram, TikTok, or even like the YouTube channel. I don't know if anything's on there right now, but I mean, might as well go like.
Oh, there is. It's not completely empty. There's stuff on there.
You might as well just go check that out, just to be the first one there. But thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.